When a man is secretly attached, one of the first places it reveals itself is in the way he greets you. Not in some dramatic Hollywood moment, not in a grand gesture, but in the small, almost unnoticeable shift in his tone, his expression, his energy. A simple hello becomes the one moment he can't fully regulate because attraction, real attraction, escapes before the brain has time to hide it, and that's the part people overlook. We assume attraction shows up in big actions, but most of the time it slips through in the tiny cracks of behavior. His hello is one of those cracks. You'll notice he doesn't greet you the way he greets others. It's not about being louder or more enthusiastic. Sometimes it's the opposite. It can be softer, slower, slightly hesitant, as if he's trying to make sure he gets it right. There's a subtle emotional charge behind it. He puts more care into a word that lasts less than a second. That's what happens when someone matters. They don't mean to give themselves away, but emotion always leaks before logic shuts the door. And the interesting thing is, he may not even know he's doing it. When someone is deeply drawn to you, their greeting isn't a choice. It's a reflex. His voice might warm just a little more than usual, or his eyes may light up in a way he didn't plan. Psychologists call these micro expressions, quick, involuntary flashes of emotion that disappear in a fraction of a second. But you feel it. You sense something shift. The greeting carries more sincerity, more presence, more attention than he offers anyone else. This is where the philosophical part comes in. We often judge people by their actions, but the truth is, the smallest behaviors often reveal the deepest truths. Big gestures can be rehearsed, but micro behaviors, those are honest. They come from the part of him that doesn't know how to pretend. If he tries to hide his feelings, his hello becomes the only moment that betrays him because it emerges before he has time to put the mask on. And what's powerful about this is how universal it is. Whether he's shy, confident, introverted, or charismatic, attraction hits everyone the same way. It interrupts. It disrupts the rhythm. A man who's secretly attached gets momentarily pulled out of his own world the second he sees you. That shifts, small as it is, changes the energy of his greeting. His voice softens because he cares. His smile lingers because he's drawn in. His attention sharpens because he's invested. None of this is conscious. It's instinct, but here's what matters most. You don't need to overanalyze it. You don't need to transform into an emotional detective. You just need to observe the simplest thing. Does he greet you with emotion? Does his energy change the moment you appear? Because a man can fake confidence, he can fake disinterest, he can fake indifference, but he cannot fake that tiny spark that shows up in the first second of seeing someone he deeply feels for. If you want to understand a man's heart, pay attention to what his hello reveals, because that's where the truth speaks before he does. When a man is secretly attached, one of the clearest signs shows up in the *** shift of his presence *** the moment he greets you. And this isn't something he consciously orchestrates. It's not him trying to impress you or perform for you. It's something much more revealing. It's the way he suddenly snaps into the moment when you walk into his field of awareness. His greeting becomes a quiet declaration of how much your presence affects him. You'll notice this contrast most clearly if you watch how he interacts with others. Around friends or coworkers, he seems relaxed, unfocused, casually drifting in and out of the conversation. But the moment he turns toward you, something sharpens. His eyes lock in just a little longer. His attention becomes singular, almost as if he has mentally closed all the tabs in his brain and left only one open, you. It's in this shift of presence where attraction hides its signature, because when someone is emotionally drawn to you, they don't greet you with the same scattered energy they give the rest of the world. Their hello doesn't float in casually, it lands, it carries weight. Even if he tries to act cool or indifferent, his body betrays the truth by becoming more alert, more tuned in, more grounded in that moment with you. And this is where it gets interesting psychologically. Humans are always multitasking. We're thinking, planning, worrying, predicting, but attraction disrupts that mental noise. It forces someone into the present moment because the brain perceives the person in front of them as emotionally significant. Nature has wired us to pay closer attention to someone who matters. So when a man greets you with sudden presence, he isn't just saying hello. His biology is saying, stay focused, don't miss this. Sometimes this shows up as warmth. Other times it shows up as nervousness. He may speak slower because he doesn't want to stumble, or faster because he's trying to keep up with the rush of excitement inside him. His handshake might linger, or his voice might get steadier. His posture might straighten slightly, or he might look down for a second to collect himself. These aren't rehearsed moves, they're instinctive alignments. His entire energy calibrates around you without him realizing it. Even when he tries to play it casual, you'll feel something in the room shift. It's like the air thickens for a second, the atmosphere changes. You feel more noticed, more acknowledged, more seen. It's subtle but powerful, and that's because attraction always brings someone deeper into the present. They stop hiding behind autopilot, they show up. But here's the part that matters: presence doesn't lie. A man may use charm to mislead. He may use silence to confuse. He may use humor to deflect. But presence, the quality of attention he gives you in those first few seconds, is one of the most honest indicators of attachment. So when you feel a man's greeting sharpen the room, when you sense him waking up the moment he looks at you, don't ignore it. That's not an accident. That's attraction stepping forward before he dares to. When a man is secretly attached, his body often reveals the truth long before his words ever manage to catch up. And what's fascinating is that he usually has no idea it's happening. Attraction triggers instinctive responses, tiny physiological shifts that appear the moment he sees you. Before he even gets the chance to say hello, his body has already started speaking its own language. You'll notice it in the posture first. A man who's attracted will unconsciously align himself toward you. He might straighten his back, adjust his shoulders, or subtly square his stance. These gestures aren't rehearsed. They're instinctive. It's the body preparing itself to meet someone who matters. It's readiness, interest, and vulnerability, all wrapped into one elegant, unconscious response. The irony is that many men think they're maintaining composure, when in reality, their posture has already given everything away. Then there's the shift in his facial expression. His eyes may widen just slightly, not in an exaggerated way, but enough to show a spark of recognition and delight. Or they soften, because seeing you disarms something in him for a moment. He may break into a half-smile he wasn't planning, or he may look away quickly, not because he's disinterested, but because he's trying to regulate the intensity of what he's feeling. Attraction makes people self-conscious in subtle ways. His face is reacting faster than his mind can process, and his greeting becomes the verbal echo that follows. Another unmistakable sign is the change in his breathing. It might become slightly quicker or deeper, as though his body is adjusting to the sudden presence of emotional charge. He might swallow before he speaks. He might wet his lips. These are biological cues that the nervous system has jumped into a heightened state. He isn't just seeing you, he's feeling you. The greeting he gives afterward isn't accidental. It's the outcome of everything his body has already prepared for. And then, of course, there's the energy shift. You can sense it even before he opens his mouth. His hello carries an undertone, an energy that wasn't there a second ago. It's either warmer or more nervous, or slightly breathless, or unusually intentional. It's almost like his body has already stepped forward while his mind is still catching up, trying to appear normal, calm, unaffected. But that rush of energy, that subtle change in how he occupies space around you, that's where his attraction becomes undeniable. What's most interesting is that these reactions don't come from a place of strategy. They're not conscious attempts to impress you or get your attention. They're rooted in biology. The human body doesn't negotiate when it comes to emotional significance. It reacts before the mind approves. It signals interest before the heart admits it. His body is simply responding to something it perceives as meaningful, and that meaning is you. So, when you pay attention to a man's body language before he speaks, you're not reading into things. You're reading the truth he hasn't said yet, because long before a man says hello, his body has already decided how it feels about you. When a man is secretly attached, one of the most revealing patterns shows up in the way he adjusts his greeting based on how you make him feel. Most people assume a greeting is something mechanical, something we do on autopilot. But when emotions enter the picture, that simple moment becomes a reflection of his entire internal world. His hello becomes less about politeness and more about emotional calibration, his attempt to match the intensity of whatever he feels in your presence. Some days, his greeting comes out warm and easy, almost effortlessly. That usually happens when he feels confident, hopeful, or when he senses openness from you. He feels safe enough to lean a little closer emotionally, so his tone relaxes, his voice softens, and he allows more warmth to come through. That version of hello happens when he believes he has a chance. When the door doesn't feel fully closed, when something about your energy tells him he can risk showing a little more of himself, but the opposite is equally revealing. If he feels intimidated, unsure, or afraid of misreading the situation, his greeting may suddenly become more formal, clipped, or restrained. It's not that he's lost interest, it's that he doesn't want to overplay his hand. He's trying to manage the emotional risk. When a man is drawn to you but uncertain about where he stands, he often tightens up his greeting without realizing it. He becomes extra careful because he doesn't want to come on too strong or worse, be rejected before the moment even begins. Sometimes the adjustment shows up in the rhythm. Maybe he says hello a second too early because he's eager, or a second too late because he's trying to get himself under control. Maybe he rushes into it with enthusiasm, or maybe he pauses as if checking in with himself first. These micro shifts are not random. They're emotional reactions leaking out through the timing of his voice. His greeting becomes a barometer of his inner state. There's also the tone itself. A man who's secretly attached might unconsciously mirror your emotional temperature. If you sound warm, he softens. If you sound distant, he tightens. If you sound confident, he straightens up. These adjustments happen automatically because he doesn't just want to talk to you. He wants to connect with you. And connection requires attunement. His greeting becomes his attempt to match your emotional frequency, even if he isn't consciously aware he's doing it. The truth is, attraction doesn't create one fixed version of a man. It creates a spectrum, and his hello changes depending on where he is on that spectrum in any given moment. Excited, nervous, hopeful, intimidated, or quietly longing for more than he feels ready to reveal. His greeting becomes an emotional report card he hands you every time you walk into his presence. It reveals his hopes, his fears, and the tug-of-war happening inside him if you learn to listen, not just to the words, but to the emotional patterns beneath them, you'll start to see the real story. A man's greeting is never just a greeting. It's a reflection of what he feels and what he wishes he could say. Sometimes the truth isn't spoken. It's heard in the way he tries to steady his voice before he says your name. When a man is secretly attached, his mind becomes his biggest battlefield, and you can hear the echoes of that battle in the way he greets you. This is one of the most revealing signals because it exposes a truth most men never admit. Attraction makes them overthink. Not dramatically, not in a way that looks obvious from the outside, but internally, where all his self-control is trying to keep things steady. His hello becomes the moment where all that internal tension leaks through. Think of it like this. A man who feels nothing greets you effortlessly. There's no hesitation, no mental filter, no sudden awareness of himself. But a man who is drawn to you suddenly becomes hyper, aware of everything. How he looks, how he sounds, whether he's smiling too much, whether he's not smiling enough, whether he seems interested or too interested. The greeting becomes the place where all that self-monitoring gathers and tries, often unsuccessfully, to hide itself. Sometimes this shows up as overpreparedness. He rehearses the moment in his head without realizing he's doing it. He sees you approaching, and in that tiny window of anticipation, he starts planning *, keep it cool, don't be too eager, just say something normal. But the more he tries to sound normal, the more unnatural he feels. So, when he finally says hello, the tone doesn't match the energy in his body. His voice might sound steady while his posture is tense, or his smile appears confident while his eyes flicker with uncertainty. Other times, he does the opposite. He says hello too quickly, blurting it out with a bit of nervous excitement. That's his mind trying to outrun his feelings. If he speaks before he can think, maybe he won't have time to guess himself. But that eagerness, that little burst of energy, is often the clearest sign that he's been thinking about this moment more than he wants you to know. And then there's the man whose greeting becomes overly casual. He tries to sound like he's unfazed, unaffected, completely in control. But if you pay attention, you notice how deliberate that casual tone is. It's too calm, too measured. It's the tone of someone trying not to reveal just how much he cares. He's overthinking the performance of nonchalance, and that alone gives him away. There's also the man who greets you inconsistently. One day he's warm, the next he's distant. One day he sounds excited, the next he sounds restrained. This inconsistency isn't a lack of interest, it's a lack of certainty. He's overthinking every interaction because he doesn't yet trust what's happening inside him. His greeting shifts because his mind is trying to balance desire with self-protection. But here's the most important part. Overthinking is a sign of emotional investment. People don't overthink things that don't matter. They don't analyze what they don't care about. The fact that he's running a mental script, whether it shows up as awkwardness, enthusiasm, restraint, or inconsistency, means you've taken up space in his thoughts long before you arrived in front of him. You can learn a lot about a man by paying attention to the moment he says hello. Not because the greeting itself is important, but because everything behind it is. When a man thinks too much before he greets you, he's really telling you one simple truth. You matter enough to make him lose his usual rhythm. When a man is secretly attached, his greeting becomes more than politeness. It becomes an invitation. Not a dramatic one, not something he states directly, but a subtle opening into his emotional world. You can hear it in his tone, sense it in the way he positions himself, feel it in the energy he directs toward you. His hello carries an unspoken message, asterisk I want something deeper, even if I'm not ready to say it out loud. Asterisk this unspoken invitation often appears in the smallest moments. When he sees you, there's a tiny lift in his expression, a softness, a warmth, a shift that says he's genuinely glad you're there, and his greeting isn't just a greeting, it's him reaching for connection without taking the full risk of exposing himself. That subtle leaning in energy is the bridge between his desire and his fear. He won't cross it fully yet, but he's standing close enough to it that you can feel the intention. Sometimes this invitation shows up in the way he elongates your name, or the slight smile he can't suppress. Sometimes it's in the way he stops what he's doing, mid-task, mid-sentence, mid-thought, just to give that moment with you his full attention. Even if the rest of his day is chaotic, his hello to you carries a presence he doesn't give anyone else. That is not coincidence. That is affection revealing itself through consistency. Other times, the invitation is quieter, almost hidden behind vulnerability. His greeting may come out softer than he intended or more tentative. It's a sign that the moment matters to him. The desire to connect is there, but so is the fear of misstepping. That quiet hesitancy is not disinterest, it's investment. When someone truly doesn't care, they are bold, careless, or indifferent. When someone does care, that's when their voice drops, their expressions soften, and their greeting feels like a moment they don't want to mishandle. And then there's the deeper layer, the way his energy stays open after the greeting. He doesn't just say hello and pull away, he lingers, he makes space, he stays emotionally available for whatever comes next. That lingering presence is the real invitation. It's him saying, without words, asterisk, I'm here if you want to continue this moment. Asterisk, attraction isn't just about excitement, it's about openness. When his hello feels like a doorway instead of a boundary, he is offering you access to a part of him he doesn't offer easily. Even men who are shy, guarded, or slow to reveal their feelings have tells. A man who is secretly attached rarely closes off the interaction at the greeting. His body stays engaged. His attention stays anchored. His expression stays soft. He positions himself as if he's waiting for you to take the next step. That kind of posture isn't casual. It's intentional, even if he's unaware of it. The truth is, every greeting contains a message. Most people never think to look for it, but if you pay attention, you'll see that the men who are emotionally invested don't simply say hello. They open the door for connection through it. Because when a man says hello with an invitation behind it, what he's really telling you is simple. Asterisk, I hope you walk a little further into my world. Asterisk,